Quick question. Do you ever feel like you have so much to say? You have so much knowledge and wisdom that you want to share that you get completely overwhelmed and then you just don't share anything at all? Today's podcast episode is for you if you have what some of my friends call the burden of knowledge. You have so much knowledge in your niche and you want to share it. You want to create content. You want to create courses, workshops, YouTube videos, podcast episodes, but then you just get completely overwhelmed with everything that you want to share. And so the enemy comes in and he plants doubt, overwhelm, frustration, and then you just not share anything at all. If that is you, you're going to really love this podcast episode because I'm going to help you organize your knowledge, your content, so that you can confidently share it with a plan, with a schedule, and help you do the thing that you are called to do so that you can serve the people who need to hear your message. And so today, that's what we're going to dive into. I'm going to give you two simple ways to do that. And so get ready. If you want to take notes, I highly recommend you taking notes on this businessy, practical type episodes because this is the content that I help my high level coaching clients with to help them step forward into their calling and do what they're called to do. So don't miss this opportunity just to get some coaching from me. Before we dive in to the ways that you can do this, I want to tell you a little bit about the new challenge that I have. It's called the Clarity in Your Calling Challenge. And when I decided to do this, I wanted to help the women who are called, who have this burn in their heart and in their soul that they know that they are meant to write books and speak on stages and lead women, and they know like in their soul, like it's burning and simmering inside of them that they're called to a higher purpose, but they just can't nail it down. They can't quite figure out, and they feel like they're just chasing things, and they're sitting in the I could do this, and they're chasing all these squirrels instead of being confident in who they are and what they were created to do. And so I created this 5-day challenge. It's called the Clarity in Your Calling Challenge. I'm inviting you to it. If this at all interests you, and if you want to get serious about not chasing squirrels anymore, not trying all these things, and really figure out how you were wired, how you were created, and the best business model to fit that, if that at all interests you and you want to get serious about that and moving into 2026, go to welldonewomen.com/challenge and sign up and hang out with me. It's 5 days. It's going to require work. That's why I call it a challenge. You're going to have to do things in order to understand what you're created and called to do. But if you spend 5 days with me, you won't have to spend the next 50 years trying to figure it out on your own. I've systematized it. I have a plan for it. And just spend 5 days with me. You'll get clarity in your calling. You'll know exactly why you were created, your purpose here on this planet, and the best business idea to align your calling with a business, to love and serve others, to not only be purposeful with your business, but profitable in your business. So again, if that all interests you, go to welldonewomen.com/challenge and join me. It starts in just a couple weeks, and I'd love to have you and love to coach you. So check it out, welldonewomen.com/challenge. Okay, but you joined this episode, you jumped into this episode so that you can just simply get something out to organize what's inside of you, organize your message so you can actually start sharing it. So the other day, we decided to decorate Christmas. That's what we do for Halloween. We kind of forego the trick-or-treating, and we have this big blowout festival in our home, and we deck out for Christmas. And so we went to Hobby Lobby. One of the kids saw this 500-piece Christmas puzzle, and they were like, "Mom, we should do this Christmas puzzle as a family. Like, how fun would this be?" And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, we've never done this before. Let's do it." So it's this beautiful Christmas scene with a huge Christmas tree, lots of snow, which if you are a puzzle person, snow is not fun. to put together. Snow, Christmas trees, there's like ice skating ring. And so if you've been following me on Instagram, I've been showing you the progression of this puzzle. This was supposed to be a family project. It ended up being just me and myself and I, with the kids coming in and cheering me on if I get a puzzle piece put together. But when we first dumped it out on the table, again, 500 puzzle pieces, just all over the place. We had to clear out our whole dining table to fit this puzzle. And if you are an actual puzzler, you are probably laughing at me right now, because 500 probably is not a lot for you, but it's a lot for us. Okay. It's a lot for us. We dumped out this puzzle. Everything went everywhere. I mean, some pieces were turned right side up. Some pieces were turned right side down or upside down. And they were just scattered everywhere. And I immediately became overwhelmed. I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to take some time. This is a lot more pieces than I was expecting. And before we start putting this puzzle together, we have to organize a little bit of it. We have to at least put colors together, organize it in a way that makes sense so that we can start putting some puzzle pieces together. And so that's what we did. Or let's be honest, that's what I did. I first turned them right side up, so I could see everything. And then I just started being like, okay, this is a green. So this looks like a Christmas tree. I'm gonna put this over here. This is white. This is snow. I'm gonna put it over here. This has people faces on it. So I'm gonna put it here. That's the ice skating scene with the people ice skating. These are this looks like buildings. So I'm gonna put the building stuff over here. And then it just occurred to me, this is exactly what happens to us who have the burden of knowledge, who have lived a little bit of life, and we have so much that we want to share. We have so much we want to teach on, so much wisdom that we want to put out into the world to help the people that we're called to help. But what happens is it's just a jumbled up puzzle where things are upside down, right side up, and they're not organized. And I literally felt the Lord say, like, this is what I want you to share on the podcast. Like, it's not that it's not that we have lack. We don't have lack of things to share. The problem is that we have so much to share and it's just unorganized. We just need to separate what makes sense. We need to put things together that's in order so that when we sit down to put our puzzle together, we're able to do it in a logical, peace-filled manner. Overwhelm does not come from the lack of ideas or the lack of knowledge. Overwhelm comes just from the lack of organization. You see this when you open up your pantry and it's just a jumbled mess. It's not that you lack food, it's that you lack the organization of your pantry to see what you have. And so today, what I want to help you with is taking all of the knowledge, all of the experience that you have, and we can organize it in two specific ways so that we can be confident to share the things that we're called to share, to teach what we're called to teach, to give wisdom to those who need it that can change their life. So the first way that we can do this to organize the knowledge, the wisdom, and the experience that we have is to create a path. Create your process pathway. I teach this in my high-level coaching program. It's called your process pathway. If you have a pathway already lined out, like if you already have a curriculum or a course or a step-by-step path, your content could be organized in that pathway. And so you kind of have to start with the big picture. You start with a big puzzle, and then you create the 3 to 5 steps that your person needs to walk through to get to the end result. Okay? So if you have a pathway, meaning like one step builds to the next step, builds to the next step, then that's one way you can organize your content into big ideas, and then the rest of your content comes back from that. So let me give you an example. If we're creating a roadmap, a pathway, if you are helping people with fitness, okay, your roadmap might be number one is mindset. Like you might need to focus just on mindset to get your ideal client to recognize that they even have a problem and to know that they're the only solution and no one else can help them with their fitness journey. So the first thing that you might need to focus on is the mindset. Then the second thing is maybe they need to get control of their eating, like the kitchen, right? And I'm just kind of making this up because I clearly don't have a roadmap for fitness. So just bear with me. So maybe mindset, it might be food, the diet, maybe mindset around diet, like what they need to eat in order to hit their goals. The next step might be once they get their diet under control and you clean out your pantry and you're eating high protein, whatever, then the next step might be to have a simple fitness routine where you talk about walking and exercise and HIIT training and all that. Then the next step might be to create a plan for their nutrition and their fitness or whatever. So you see how like one builds on the next? If that's you, then your process pathway is going to look like mindset, food, fitness, priorities. And so what you would do with this content is write it all on a board, how your client is going to walk from one step to the next, to the next, to the next. And under mindset, you can even ask ChatGPT to help you with this, give you a bunch of content ideas to talk about just mindset. And so you could be like 3 ways to believe in yourself, the secret to changing your habits. And so you would map out mindset. Then you would go to the next step, which is diet and nutrition. And you could have all the content about diet and nutrition. So you see how we just dumped out our puzzle pieces. We dumped out all of our knowledge and we're just organizing in what makes the most sense in steps. I remember I did this with my photographers whenever I was teaching photography. I was like, okay, the first step that they need to be a photographer is to learn how to use their camera, to learn lighting, to understand the craft of photography. Then the next step is posing, how to work with people. Because if they have an amazing camera and they learn how to use it, but they don't know how to work with people and pose people to look good on camera, they're not going to be a successful photographer. And then the next step I would teach is business, how to run a profitable photography business. Now they didn't know their camera, they know how to pose people, they now need to know how to get bookings. And so I brought them along this process pathway so that, when I'm creating content on Instagram, on social media, through podcasts and YouTube, I can focus just on camera settings, lighting, composition, and have all the content about that. Then I could talk about posing, how to pose maternity, how to pose children, how to pose men, how to pose seniors, how to pose women. So all of those, do you see how we're just taking all of our knowledge and organizing it in a step-by-step pathway first, and then from there we get content. So that's just one way. Let me give you one more example. In my new coaching program, I've organized my I'm leading women to create 6-figure businesses that's in alignment with their purpose. How to be profitable with your purpose. And so it's very unique to them and how they were wired, how they were created. And so I've boiled down my process pathway for my students into just 3 steps to build a successful 6-figure on 7-figure business. Step 1 is getting your position. Like, who are you? Who are you called to serve? What is your one clear message? Where do you want to show up? That's your position. So if I'm creating content for my coaching clients, for my group coaching students, I'm going to figure out what's everything that I need to share under that one step, that one phase. Phase one is position. The next phase is package. This is what they sell, what price they put on it, to the who that we just talked about in position. So phase one is position. Phase two is package. What processes, what products, what services can they create that's in alignment with their purpose? So that's phase two. Phase three is promotion. And so I'm teaching them how to share, how to market, how to sell high ticket offers, low ticket offers, recurring offers to make 6 and 7 figure businesses with the packages that they just created for the person that they are called to serve in their unique position. So you see how like I've created 3 phases, 3 milestones, 3 huge content frameworks to walk my people through. So that's what you need to do. If you have a step-by-step curriculum, map it out. This is good for you. Again, if you want to be a coach, if you want to create a course, if you want to host a retreat, if you want to literally do anything, if you want to launch a podcast, first start with who is my person and what process do they need to walk down to get to the desired result. Organize them in 3 to 5 steps, 3 phases, 5 phases, 3 steps to 5 steps. Anything more than that is going to get overwhelming to you and to your people. So focus on that first. All right. Now, if you're like, Brittany, I don't necessarily have a step-by-step curriculum. I don't necessarily, have a pathway that I want to walk my people down. And if that's you, I want to encourage you to get a pathway because it's going to change the game for you in especially business. But if that's where you're at right now, I'm going to give you a second option. And this is what I call content buckets. So this is for you if you don't have a program, you don't have a framework, it's the starter kit for your content. What I'm going to have you do for your content buckets is to pick 4 main categories, no more than 4 main categories that reflect your brand, that reflect your passions. And this is what I come in contact with my students more than not, is because they have these 4 topical passions. It might be motherhood. It might be scripture, Jesus, and faith. It might be business. It might be working out. And they're like, I just don't know how these all 4 fit together. That's okay. If you are at like the foundation of building your brand, of starting your business and ministry, this is exactly where you need to be. And that's just simply categorizing your passions, the topics that light you up, and just building out content from there. And so for me, I do this for this podcast. So this podcast, my YouTube channel, my social media, it's not a course. It's not a mastermind. It's not a coaching program. It's content. It's me preaching and teaching about the things that I love, that ultimately I have strategy that leads to my coaching programs and masterminds and courses and all that. But the way that I have this podcast is it's not a process pathway. It's content buckets. It's content buckets. So for this podcast, I don't know if you realize this, but just pulling back the curtain here, I have 4 content buckets for this podcast. It's leadership, business, spiritual growth, and clarity in your calling. So business, this is kind of what this episode is for. It's those of you who have a business, they want to start a business, they have content, they want to launch a podcast, write a book, host retreats, and they have all this knowledge, all this experience, these testimonies that they want to share, but they have so much and they don't know what to do with it. That's why you're here. It's so that you can ultimately probably start a business with it, or grow the one that you already have, or restructure the one you already have. That's what this episode is for. You'll notice another episode will be about leadership, personal development, growth, how to become the person in order to lead on a podcast, to speak and preach on stages, to create a coaching program and lead other women. Like that's a whole nother podcast episode to help you with leadership. And so what my people need, the 4 content buckets are what my people need and what I love to talk about. So what I want you to do is just to brainstorm where the two intersect. What topics does your ideal client, the people that you feel called to help, what do they need? What are they looking for? What are they Googling at 2 a.m.? What are they getting books about? What are they studying? What do they need help with? And what do you love to talk about? What do you have a lot of knowledge about? What do you have a lot to share about? Now, for me, I love these 4 content buckets. I love them all equally, but I'll also argue that what I'm promoting, so this is kind of next level strategy. So if you're with me and you're like, okay, I get it. Now, this is for you if you want a little bit deeper. If I'm in a marketing campaign to sell something specific, I'm going to push out one of these content buckets more than the others. Okay. So if I want to launch a coaching program or a new business course, I might be a little bit heavier on the content of business so I can promote my course, my coaching program that I have for business for those who want to grow their business. And so you have the liberty, once you have your 4 content buckets, to share one more than the other, depending upon your goals and the strategy to lead up to the sale. But if you are just starting out, here's a simple way to do this. Let's just for the example of being a podcaster. There's 4 content buckets. There's 4 weeks in a month. 1 week, you share about content bucket 1. The next week, content bucket 2. The next, content bucket 3. The next, content bucket 4. And that's how you can get all of your content, all the things you're passionate about, the topics that you love to talk about, and they all have equal airtime on your podcast. Let's say that you are more focused on social media and you have these 4 content buckets. On Monday, you can share a reel on bucket 1, Tuesday, bucket 2, Wednesday, bucket 3. And let me just, if I didn't make myself clear, no one else knows that you have content buckets. Y'all had no clue that I had content buckets for this podcast until now, right? So you're not sharing like today, Monday is business day. This is, no. This is just for you to organize your dumped out puzzle of knowledge into the categories to help you build the brand, build your one message for your one ideal client. So I just want to make that clear in case I didn't before. The content buckets are for you to understand and organize. Now, going back to the process pathway, if you are giving free content away for the process pathway, no one needs to know your process pathway unless they enroll in your coaching program or in your course. Then and only then you share the pathway so that they have the roadmap. Your students need to know that, number 1, you know where they're going, and number 2, they have the GPS, the GPS map to get from where they are to where they want to go. That's step 1 in any curriculum, course, coaching program. And so definitely share it with them once they get inside. But just for the purposes of sharing, creating content, podcasting, YouTubing, posting on social media, this is just for you to organize your knowledge so that you're no longer paralyzed in sharing it. Because I think what the enemy wants more than anything is to trip you up and trap you, making you feel like you have so much that you're overwhelmed, frustrated, and you just give up. Which reminds me of in the Gospels, whenever the Pharisees were trying to trap Jesus. He, the Old Testament and the law is full of laws. I mean, there's so many laws. And at that time, that's what the Pharisees were like, we keep all the laws. We're better than everybody else. We keep the laws. And they were just trying to trap Jesus. And so they asked him, like, what is the most important? What's the most important law? And Jesus took all the laws. I mean, there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. If you read the Old Testament, you're like, how do these people remember any of these rules and laws? Jesus took all of it and he boiled it down into two content buckets, two categories. Love your Lord, your God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. The laws all fit into these two categories. So don't let the enemy trap you into thinking that you need to just stay quiet because you don't have your stuff organized. I want to empower you in this episode to take the time, organize the knowledge, the wisdom, the experience that you have, the passions that God has put on your heart, organize them so that you're no longer trapped in staying silent. That's all the enemy wants, is to trap you, to keep you quiet, to keep you silent, because if he keeps you silent, he knows the impact that your words can make. He knows the impact and the life change that if you start sharing the knowledge and the wisdom, the testimonies that God has put inside of you, if you start sharing it, lives will change. He doesn't want that. He wants to keep you quiet. I want to hopefully help you today get you out of feeling stuck and overwhelmed and frustrated with simple organization. So today, I want you to decide which process is best for you. Is it the process pathway, or is it the 4 buckets, or it could be both? I use both. I use the process pathway for my students inside of my courses and curriculum and coaching programs. I use my 4 buckets for content on podcasts, YouTube, and social media. So what I want you to do is to pick one, get out a whiteboard, map it out, and write down the 4 overarching topics that you want to talk about, and just start with one, create one piece of content and share it. Record an episode. If you have kind of drifted away from podcasting or on social media because of the overwhelm, because of the maybe wilderness season that you've been in, I want to encourage you that like today's the day to get back to it. Today's the day. Enough is enough. You've been quiet for long enough. And today's the day that you take one piece of content, one piece of wisdom, one thing God has taught you, one thing that could help the people who are already following you, the people who are already listening to your podcast, the people who are already following you on YouTube, on social media. Do it for them. I think we can get so tripped up and looking inwardly at ourselves and all the things that are wrong with our life circumstances or how hard life has been or what's going on with us. And we can be so eye focused that we forget that there's people who need what we have. And I think the moment that you realize that there are people that need what you have and you take your eyes off yourself and onto the people who need you, things will get better. You will get out of the dark hole that you've been sitting in. You'll be able to start moving again. You'll be able to start teaching and preaching again. And so I want to encourage you, don't overthink this. Just start organizing your knowledge and showing up 1 week at a time. I don't know if y'all have realized this, but I focus on one quality piece of content a week, and I share it to all of my platforms. I start with one episode on this podcast. I turn it into a YouTube video. I share it. I use an AI robot to help me share it on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube Shorts, and on TikTok. All from one piece of content. So I don't want you to think that I'm being superwoman over here because I'm everywhere at all times. It's just strategy. I'm sharing one piece of quality content and I'm divvying it up to all of my audience so that they can be helped I'm not spending hours and hours and hours a day on content. I'm spending time organizing what I want to say, asking the Holy Spirit to help me with the content under each bucket, the episodes that I feel like He's put on my heart. Like, again, the puzzle thing totally came from Him. This episode totally came from Him because somebody in my audience needs this right now. And then I'm just pressing record and I'm sharing it and using AI to help me divvy it out to everybody. It's just that simple. So don't overthink this. Don't overcomplicate this. Start sharing one piece of content a week. Your audience doesn't need you to be perfect. They just want you present. They want to see you. They want to hear from you. That's why they're following you. That's why they've subscribed to you. That's why they're downloading your episodes. They want to be helped by you. So the question is which one is helpful for you in your business? Is it the process pathway, which is the step-by-step curriculum? You use that step-by-step curriculum to then create content underneath it, or the 4 content buckets, which could be a little bit random, but they're all for the purposes of helping your ideal client. And then my second question is, what's one small action that you can take today to bring structure and organization to the knowledge that God has put inside of you? I want to encourage you, get out a whiteboard. Let's nerd out. Let's be a student here. Get out a whiteboard and just start mapping this out. What has God put inside of you? What's helpful to your ideal person? And then build out 4 pillars around it. So I hope this was helpful today. I know this was a little bit more practical, tangible, but if this was helpful, if you feel like this was for someone else in your life, a friend, a family member, please share this episode with them. That helps us so much with the growth of this podcast. Number 2, if you need help with building the business, the knowledge business, the experience, but like the business that God has put inside of you, and you want help, I have a free resource. If you go to welldonwomen.com/workshop, it's a free 1-hour class to help you build the knowledge business that you were created for. And then lastly, if you want to start 2026 and go all in and getting clarity in what you're called to do, I want to hang out with you for 5 days. I want to take 50 years of chasing squirrels, and I want to condense it into 5 days of action and clarity and understanding who you are and how God has wired you and created you to be, and what business is the best business for you to start with who you are and how He's wired you. So if that is something that you're interested in, go to welldonwomen.com/challenge and sign up. I would love to have you. So I hope this was helpful. I love you guys. And remember to always love people, serve people, and change lives.